Are you planning your trip to Morocco and wonder what to bring with you? If yes, this is exactly what I will be talking about in this video. Hello everyone and a warm welcome. I'm so delighted to have you here. As I mentioned in my previous video, I've started a series dedicated to our 30-day trip to Morocco. But before I introduce you to all the places that we visited and talk about our experience there in more detail, I'd like to give you general tips that may be useful to you. And also today, I'd like to go through a list of things that you should probably bring with you if you plan your travel to Morocco, just to make your stay more comfortable and enjoyable. Although many of these suggestions can be applicable to all travel plans to any country really, and may seem pretty basic, sometimes even basic things can be overlooked and easily slip our minds during the hustle and bustle of packing. So without keeping you waiting, let's go through my list. Firstly, when you go to Morocco, I suggest that you get a good sunscreen with the highest pay of protection, no matter what season you're traveling in. We went to Morocco in winter, which was December-January, and I must say that the sun was so strong that I don't know what I would have done without sufficient skin protection. If for some reason I didn't apply enough sunscreen, my skin would get significantly red by the end of the day. The next thing that you should bring with you or buy straight away is a good moisturizer, preferably one with panthenol. Especially if you go to the desert, because dry climate can dehydrate your skin very quickly, possibly even leading to some skin cracks. I actually had quite a few and it was really painful. Also, it can provide you some relief if you get a sunburn, which is super useful. It's a good idea to bring a light scarf. It can be very handy if you need to cover your neck or shoulders if you feel chilly, and it will be particularly useful in the desert as well. The scarf can shield your face from the sun and sand, especially if you are doing some sandy activities like camel track or sandboarding, and you don't have a turban, which you can buy locally, but you may not have an opportunity and time to do it just before the desert trip. It's also a good idea to bring eye drops just in case you get sand into your eyes, and a pair of sunglasses. Next important things to bring and always carry with you are paper tissues and a small liquid soap that you can conveniently fit into your bag for an easy access. A lot of public toilets in Morocco, especially if you travel from one town to another, don't provide either toilet paper or soap. Some of them do, and normally you need to pay a couple of Moroccan dirhams to use the facilities, but there are plenty of places that don't provide anything. I also always have a hand sanitizer with me no matter where I go. I like those that you can easily clip to your bag and quickly clean your hands even after taking transport, or for example if you buy some local snacks in street markets which you would normally eat with your hands. Sanitizers always come in handy in that case. Be sure to pack a travel first aid kit with you, with at least some basic things like a digital thermometer, pain relief medications, something for an upset stomach, especially if you travel with children or if your stomach tends to react to unfamiliar food or drinks. Antihistamine, motion sickness medication, and I always take with me things like bandages and antiseptic wipes in case of minor injuries or cuts. And of course, if you take any special medicine under prescription, don't forget to take your prescription with you just in case. Next, bring or buy locally your own shampoo and hair conditioner, especially hair conditioner if you normally use one, because none of the riad or hotels where we stayed provided one. They all normally have a shampoo, but it's often a shampoo slash body gel, which is not the best option for your hair, especially if it's long. Personally, I avoid using products on my hair if they're not specifically designed for hair cleaning, but it's all up to you of course. You will also need to bring your own toothbrushes and any other personal care items. A lot of hotels in different countries often provide some very simple disposable toothbrushes, tiny tubes of toothpaste, and sometimes even hygiene kits with some basic stuff. But every country is of course different, and in Morocco it's not a custom. So it's very unlikely that you will have any of those things even in an expensive hotel or riad, so don't forget your own. Also, majority of riads and hotels don't provide either sleepers or bathrobes. Some accommodations that are on an expensive side may provide them, but it's not guaranteed. So keep that in mind as well. I personally really like taking off my shoes after a long tiring day and putting on a pair of slippers when I'm relaxing in a hotel to feel cozier and more comfortable. And if you are someone like me, you will need to bring your own. I also suggest that you bring your own hairdryer, at least the travel version of it. Majority of accommodations do not have a hairdryer in each individual room. They usually will have one that you can borrow at the reception, which can be pretty inconvenient if it's not available. Also, many of them are small and not really powerful, so if you have long hair or you need to style it quickly, you'll appreciate having your own hairdryer. Up next, don't forget about power adapters. Morocco uses Type C and E plug types, which have 2 round pins. So unless these are the same plug types you use in your country, you'll need an adapter, of course. It's very convenient to have a universal adapter with multiple USB ports so that you can use it in most countries and charge multiple devices simultaneously. Also, bring a portable charger with you. It's highly likely that you will need it, especially if you are out exploring for the entire day. It will be extremely useful. Now, I don't know about summer in Morocco, but if you travel in winter, you will definitely need a lightweight jacket or something warm to throw on your shoulders in the early mornings and evenings, which can be pretty chilly. I suggest bringing something that you can easily fold and put in your bag or backpack at any time, because during the day it's usually pretty hot. I'm the person who isn't resistant to cold. I typically wear more clothes than the average person, so I was actually really concerned that I would need plenty of warm clothes for the trip. However, I was actually really warm and even hot during the day, so I was mostly just wearing light fabric dresses. Of course, if you go to a particularly cold place such as Atlas Mountains, you should bring a warmer sweater or a jacket. But as I said, in most places, most of the time, you won't really need them apart from mornings and evenings. Also, a small tip for girls who also like wearing dresses: consider getting a nice poncho that isn't too big and excessively thick or heavy, but warm enough and easy to fold and carry with you. I actually brought 2 with me, and not only did they keep me warm when needed, but they also complemented my dresses. Next, you will definitely need comfortable footwear no matter where you go, because I believe that you will walk a lot. You will probably spend a lot of time exploring Medinas or Old City, where the streets and lanes are commonly narrow, bustling, and often have uneven, bumpy surfaces. So it will be pretty uncomfortable to wear shoes with even a very small heel there. I also don't suggest wearing flip-flops and really flat sandals, because once again, as a traveler, you will be walking a lot, and if you wear flat footwear, it will be very tiring as they don't provide a proper arch support that your feet require. Plus, if you travel from one town to another, it's very likely that you will be going out to enjoy the landscapes and do a bit of climbing here and there. And if you travel to the desert and walk on the dunes, keep in mind that your feet will always sink into the sand. So unless you prefer walking with your bare feet most of the time, think of what potentially comfortable shoes you could wear. I suggest something comfortable, properly closed with a good grip to prevent too much sand from getting inside. It's not a big deal, of course, but it can be a bit uncomfortable to be cleaning your shoes all the time. That being said, of course, during your trip you will probably want to have some nice, beautiful photos of yourself, especially if you are a girl. Just carry a plastic or a fabric bag with you with a pair of shoes for photos that you can change into at any time, and make sure to choose something lightweight and easy to carry. And this was the list of things that I recommend for your journey to Morocco. In my upcoming videos, I will be sharing my general tips and advice covering what you should keep in mind when preparing for your trip, as well as important things to be aware of during your travels. So stay tuned if you're interested in more insights, and I'll see you soon. Bye!